Hi, I'm going to be doing the bookshelf tag. No one tags me in it because I'm new and nobody really knows I exist, which is fine. So I'm just going to tag myself in it and go on with it. Whose channel did I see it on? Ariel's channel. I saw it on hers, and it's from somebody else's before that. I'll link both of those down in the bottom for anyone who's curious. So, how many bookshelves do I have? That's the first question. I have 3 Billy bookcases here. And then out in my living room, I have a large 12-foot long built-in. Right now, that's not used for books yet. It still mostly houses my daughter's toys and other things like that. But of course, as she gets older and there are less toys, there will be more books out there. The only books that are out there, I have a 54-volume set of Britannica's Great Works of the Western World. So that's out there. And then I have around 21 different Smithsonian kind of like coffee table style books. Like, I have one that's just called Nature, and it's just ginormous. Goodness, and that kind of book, like Rocks and Minerals and so on. The kind of books where you don't read it all the way through. You open it and read a few pages, look at a few pictures. It's those sort of books. So those are out there in the living room as well. And I think that's all my bookshelves right now. I used to have a bunch of like little bookshelves scattered everywhere, but that was getting confusing, and then I kept buying duplicates, so I kind of like eliminated all of those. So I just have those two main areas where my books are. How many books are on your bookshelves? So I estimated that I probably had around 700 because I've got a lot of picture books. You can't see them, they're on the bottom shelf, but I've got a bunch of picture books, so I assumed I had around 700. So I went through and did a rough count. I'm not going to say it's 100% because I've got books scattered out that I'm reading here and there, and I don't think I counted all of them. But I have right around, 962 books total, including picture books. Excluding the picture books and excluding the coffee table books, I have right around 626 books that are just like regular like reading books. Let's see, what's the next question? How do you organize your books? Okay, so loosely by genre, I suppose. Of course, I have that 154-volume set that's all classics that's out in the living room. And then I have the coffee table books that are all nature books and natural sciences books. And those are all grouped together on the living room too because they're too big for these shelves the way I have them set up. And then after that, I have it kind of grouped by category. So for instance, I have classics up on top, then juvenile classics, and then my tiny little YA section, and then juvenile fiction, and so on. And then within those categories, they're sorted by author. That's just to prevent me from accidentally buying duplicates, because you know how it is. Sometimes a book starts with a green cover, and then it has a blue cover. So when I briefly sorted by color, I got duplicates. So I just had to stop doing it that way. Alright, what is the oldest book on my bookshelf? The oldest book on my bookshelf. Oh, you can't quite see it from here. That's okay. I have 3 from this set. Dickens Works, let me hold it out here, Globe edition, and it is dated 1879. Let me double check that. I think it's 1879. Yes, 1879. These are my oldest books. They definitely cannot be read. They are so decayed that if you aren't careful, the pages fall right out and they feel very crumbly. So they're kind of at the end of their life expectancy as books. Now they're just decor. Yeah. What's the newest book on my bookshelf? I had it off to the side. There it is. This is the newest book on my bookshelf. It's the 10th anniversary of Bunnicula. So it's a new printing, and I bought it recently, so I'm going to go with this one's probably my newest one. It's the one with the fuzzy cover and the orange pages and the little foil. So, it's pretty cute. I like that one. Let's see. What is the longest book on your bookshelf? Okay, I forgot to check for that one. I'm going to go with David Copperfield, just initially. Oh, nope, not David Copperfield. Here it is. Here's the longest one. 1001 children's books you must read before you grow up, with a whopping page count of ridiculous. Right? Oh, not that bad. 956. 956 pages. I think that's my longest. Let's see. What is the shortest book on your bookshelf? I have a ton of picture books that are less than 32 pages or around 32 pages, so it would be hard to pick any one of those. My shortest chapter book is Freckle Juice by Judy Blume. How many pages is this little fellow? 47. But that's my shortest chapter book. So, let's see, what's next? What is the predominant genre on your bookshelf? Alright, so there's so many arguments about what constitutes a genre, what's a category. Genre, of course, can be broken up into, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, as far as genres go. But then within that, there's all those other ones, the subgenres. There's really not a predominant, subgenre. The only thing that's obvious on my shelves is that I have a ton of juvenile fiction, and while that's more of a category, fiction is a genre. But juvenile fiction is my biggest, most obvious thing you notice on my bookshelf. Have I done a bookshelf tour? Yes, I have. I recorded one not too long ago, I think a couple weeks ago. I'm going to redo it at some point. I think I don't really enjoy video editing, so what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to get one of those little shutter buttons for my phone, and then I'll just kind of record it and then combine the videos. I think that's faster than trimming it, so we'll see. Then I'll redo it if that ends up being faster. Alright, number 10. Go on a random number generator and talk about the book that corresponds with that number. The number I got was 145, which was a strangely, even number. I was expecting kind of, 67 or, 33, but no, 145, which corresponds to, and I hated, I was counting this out, and when it ended up on my Star Trek books, I'm like, seriously, that, really? So it landed on How Much for Just the Planet, which is based on the original Star Trek. I loved this book when I was 13. I haven't read it again since. I've been meaning to see if it still seems funny to me. I thought that this was the funniest thing I'd ever read back when I read it, so one day I'll reread it. But I don't want to ruin it for myself, because 13-year-old me probably wasn't very discerning. That's probably why I liked this. So, I don't know. And no, I don't read very many Star Trek books anymore, That phase is done, so yeah. That's my 145th book on my shelf. Do I have any fan merch or any other decorations on my bookshelf? I've just got kind of random things. I only assembled these bookshelves probably a month ago, and I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do with them. I have a bunch of junk, but I don't know how much of it I actually want on my bookshelf. So I've got some Hocus Pocus stuff, even though it's not book related. Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. Scotty, the Star Trek character, which makes sense being by the Star Trek books. And then what I was really hoping to do is set up my little, china cups up in front of, the classics, and then I realized I don't really, have very many of kind of, the girlier classics that those should go in front of. And then I started looking on Book Outlet, and then I'm like, no, stop! No, you can't buy any more books! Stop it! It's a disease! So yeah, that. The other thing, when I was counting my books, I'm sorry, I'm old school, see this paper, I still write on this, even though I have a device that could have counted these items much faster than I could. Alright, so, I have 331 juvenile fiction books, 107 of them were read when I counted this up. I have 95 adult classics, of which only 4 of them have been read. Now, I read classics, but I read them on my Nook, and so, I have all these that I haven't read, so that's kind of sad. And then children's classics, I have 71, and 37 of those I've read, so doing better on children's classics. Adult fiction, I have 46, and 28 of those are read. Graphic novels, I have 51 of them, 30 of them I've read. Adult nonfiction, I own 19. and when I say adult nonfiction, I'm not counting the coffee table books, because you just don't read those. You don't just pick those up and read them cover to cover. That's just weird. You skim those. So I don't count those as being books I'm going to read. So my regular narrative adult nonfiction, I have 19, and I've only read 4 of them. So that's kind of a problem. My best category, as far as like proportion of them read, is YA. I only own 13 YA books, and 10 of them I've read. Yay! So yeah, I definitely have a project ahead of me with all of that. Yeah. So that is the bookshelf tag, and I'm not going to tag anyone else in it because no one's going to see it yet, because I don't have enough videos for anyone to notice me yet. So that's okay. So until next time, talk to you later.